It's been more than 3 weeks since I unboxed the Nokia 6 and I've been testing it out since then, because a mid-range smartphone's performance, quality and flaws cannot be tested out in a single week. I was just kidding, I was just lazy enough to make the video, so it took me 3 whole weeks to complete it finally, but it is here. The complete in-depth review of the Nokia 6 with its pros and cons, so watch it till the end to find out whether this is the one for you or not. So let's start off the review with the design and the build of the Nokia 6. The Nokia 6 is an aluminum metal unibody device with neatly carved and polished edges. The build quality and the design makes this device look like an expensive flagship smartphone. The one notable feature about the design and the build is that the edges are polished and carved in such a way to provide excellent grip while holding the device in your hand. It has got just 2 buttons and both of them are on the same side of the phone. This makes it easy to reach for the buttons with no discomforts. The sad thing is that the buttons are reachable when holding the device in my right hand, but when I switched it to my left hand, the buttons are not that easily reachable when compared to holding it in my right hand. So I wish that they had put both the buttons a few centimeters below the actual position to make it easier for both left-handed and right-handed users. At the bottom portion of the phone, the Nokia 6 has the navigation keys along with the home key. This is just a key and not a button. This home key also doubles as a fingerprint scanner, and that is a good piece of work from Nokia. At least it still has got a home key along with the fingerprint scanner. You know who I'm talking about? Yeah, them. Face ID. The overall design and the build quality are good, but it does have a vertical camera bump on the back, which isn't a big deal, but it does rock the device when placed face up. But the silver border and the clean cutout makes the camera bump blend in perfectly with the overall design of the Nokia 6. Each and everything on the Nokia 6 is placed in the exact right position. I'm usually not a fan of downward facing speakers, as we all block it while playing games or while watching movies in landscape mode. But Nokia took this problem seriously and they placed the speaker in the Nokia 6 in a perfect position. It is placed slightly above the usual landscape holding angle, so there is no chance of blocking it while playing games or while holding it in landscape mode. And that is also a good piece of work when it comes to the design of the Nokia 6. Now let's talk about security. The fingerprint sensor's placement is good and its performance and accuracy are also up to the mark. It is actually faster than I expected. There were slight stutters when the position of the thumb was changed, but apart from that, the fingerprint sensor works just fine. The fingerprint sensor just needs half a second to identify your finger, but that background transition slows down the process to more than a second. And beside the fingerprint sensor, the Nokia 6 has the backlit navigation keys. The brightness of the navigation keys backlight cannot be adjusted, but it is visible under all kind of lighting conditions. It is a Nokia device, so the main thing expected by everyone is durability. I accidentally dropped it twice, and once it had a fall from like a 3 feet tall point, and that left a small dent in the aluminum corners of the Nokia 6. And the Nokia 6 is also not water resistant, and it is not fair to expect that kind of resistance from a mid-range smartphone. And that's all the information I have about the design and the build quality of the Nokia 6. So now let's switch our attention to the 1080p 5.5 inches IPS LCD display. I said this in one of my previous videos that it is hard to get used to IPS LCD display when you have already used an AMOLED display, and most of the mid-range smartphones now holds an IPS display, and the Nokia 6 is not an exception from that lineup. The curved IPS LCD 1080p display on the Nokia 6 looks good. It can render full 1080p HD videos, but I felt something is not quite right with it. Even with the brightness set to maximum level, the display doesn't feel bright enough, which makes it slightly hard to use it under extreme daylight conditions. And also, when I put this display under test with 2 of my other IPS display smartphones, I found that the colors are a bit oversaturated with a cool blue tone on top of it. If the color accuracy and the brightness factor doesn't affect you on a large scale, then the display is quite suitable for you. The slightly carved look of the display makes it look good, and also the screen to body ratio is less, which means the Nokia 6 does not have larger bezels and it has more display area when compared to its body size. Apart from the oversaturation of the colors and the cooler tone on top of it, the display looks good, feels good and works perfect. The touch display also works with no lag. There are no touch lags, but there are slight UA lags, which I would be talking in the future portion of the video. So overall, the display is good but not great. So after this long speech, now let's actually talk about the real hero of the show. That is nothing but the camera of the Nokia 6. It does not have a dual lens camera apparatus, but both the 16 megapixel rear camera and the 8 megapixel front camera do a pretty great job when it comes to snapping super sharp images. I have made a dedicated camera review video with all the sample images and things in order to make this video shorter. So if you're interested, then the link for the camera review is right below in the description or there in the card section. So on a brief note, the camera of the Nokia 6 is a great one for a mid-range smartphone, but it does suffer a few downsides. Still, it is good. Well, so far I've talked about the camera, the display, and now let's end that multimedia lineup, the speaker and the microphone. The speaker, as I said, is a downward facing speaker, and this is actually a Dolby Atmos speaker. The Nokia 6 actually has two speakers. The main one is right at the bottom, and the one behind the earpiece is like a secondary speaker with lesser audio output. I could hear it from anywhere in my house when I receive a call or SMS, but while listening to songs with vocals, the sound is not quite up to the mark. But it performs good for vocal-less audios. So here's the sample audio for you.
Till I get up, time is barely on our side. I don't wanna waste what's left. The storms we chase are leading us, and love is all we'll ever trust. No, I don't wanna waste what's left. And on we'll go, through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow
Hope that cleared up something. For our own privacy and for not being a total jerk in the public, most of us use earphones, and you get one along with the package, saving your time and your money going for a third-party one. The sound out of the earphones are really great. When I listen to the sounds via speakers, as we all know, it wouldn't be that detailed, and those missing details are clearly covered with the earphones. I could even hear the low-frequency musical instruments playing at the background while listening to audio via the earphones. And about the microphone, the recorded audio sounds good, and right now you're listening to the recorded audio out of the Nokia 6. No problems with the recorded audio. It works just fine, like how the microphone in a smartphone should work like. So that's the end of the recording. So that's all about the multimedia features of the Nokia 6. So now let's switch from that to the performance side. The Nokia 6 holds a Snapdragon 430 octa-core chipset, and choosing a 430 chipset for a mid-range 15,000 rupees smartphone is not at all a good move from Nokia. I have noticed a lot of UA lags in my 3 weeks of usage while scrolling, while switching, while clicking, which is like a really bad user experience. Even with stock Android in it, it lags a lot with a few UA operations. And for the memory department, it holds 3 gigs of RAM, and memory management is also a huge disaster. Like say for instance, 10 apps are running at the background, and if you reopen a random app at the back after say 30 minutes, then the app literally gets restarted with a long lag. It opens it right where I left it, but the lag before opening the app is really not a good thing. And also, if there are more apps running on the background, the device gets slow, it behaves weirdly. So performance wise, the Nokia 6 is a huge disappointment. There are smartphones which does a pretty good job with memory management, having the same amount of RAM, and they also come with a cheaper price tag when compared to the Nokia 6. Moving on to gaming performance. The Adreno 505 GPU, as known, helps rendering the frames faster, and the gaming performance is smooth and good. But games like Asphalt 8, Modern Combat 5, Unkilled, and lots of games like that take a long time to load missions and milestones. I put the Nokia 6 along with other devices to find whether the loading lag is real or not, and sadly, it is real. It takes a long time to load from one milestone or from one mission to another, or even to load a game from the initial stage. Right now, the Nokia 6 has only one Indian variant with 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. The 32 GB internal storage may not be enough for most of us, but luckily the SIM card tray accepts 2 SIM cards and a single SD card up to 256 GB. So let's keep those disappointing performance factors aside and let's talk about the battery of the Nokia 6. It holds a small 3000 mAh battery and it's good. Under normal usage condition, the battery lasts for around a day, and under stressed usage condition like playing games and streaming videos continuously, it lasts for like around 5 to 6 hours. Even when the battery is like at 15%, it lasts for more than 6 to 8 hours if you just put the phone idle. So battery backup and everything about the battery is satisfying, but the battery takes a really long time to charge. It doesn't have those dash charging and fast charging stuff, so you cannot get 5 hours of battery backup from 5 minutes of charging the phone. It takes almost a minute to fill 1% of battery, and to complete the whole 100% of battery it takes like a whole 2.5 hours. Apart from the slow charging, the battery performance is good so far. Talking about the battery and the performance of the Nokia 6, it also suffers another drawback. This Nokia 6 overheats a lot. If it overheats while playing games or while running intense applications, then it is acceptable, but it even overheats while using the camera app for a long time, and that is not cool, Nokia. Not cool at all. So now let's wrap up all the hardware stuffs aside and let's talk about the software powering up this Nokia 6. The Nokia 6 is powered up by the purest version of Android 7.1.1 with no custom UI themes or nothing on top of it. Being an Amazon exclusive smartphone, it has a few Amazon bloatwares preloaded in it, like Amazon Store, the Kindle Reader app and the Amazon Prime app, which is not a good thing, but still they are just a couple of apps which doesn't occupy more than a few megabytes of your storage. In my period of usage, I got like 2 minor OTA security updates, which is like a good sign showing that the Nokia 6 would get OTA updates frequently in the future. So it's just a matter of time for the Nokia 6 to get the stable version of Android 8.0 Oreo. And we are almost at the end now, and it's that time of the video when I wrap the whole review by summarizing the pros and cons of the gadget. Is this Nokia 6 a bad smartphone? No, this is not actually a bad smartphone, but at the same time it is not good either. The build quality is premium, the camera is good, the speaker is almost good, but when it comes to performance of the Nokia 6, it is a whole disaster. Memory management is not good, multitasking is not good, the UI lags a lot, so the Nokia 6, when it comes to performance, it's a hype fail. So if you are a person looking for a mid-range smartphone around 15,000 rupees with a great camera and premium build quality and stock Android feel, then I would recommend you the Nokia 6, but other than that, it has nothing special in it. So that's my overall opinion. So if you dislike this video, then sorry to disappoint you, but if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you do not want to miss any future videos from this channel, subscribe and also click that bell icon near the subscribe button to stay updated with future video releases. And as always, thanks for watching, and I will hopefully meet you guys and girls in the next one. Till then, it's bye bye from AT Assistors. Bye.